Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blind Press YouTube channel and the coffee stream. It is Wednesday, which means it is WTF Wednesday. And boy, do we have some WTF today. But first, let's let's say hi to everybody. Hello, Ryan. Your fibro is permanently worse. Elbows and shoulders were the last to go. It's in your joints. Now that fucking sucks, dude. I'm very sorry to hear that. I went to physio on Monday. Got told that I'm not insane. That I am actually like hurting. I'm presenting as though I have a stenosis in my back, which is, as they say, a bony growth. So we're going to try and do some physio, but I have a feeling I may need to actually get some imaging done. And yeah, get that figured out. This song is too short. I need to fix this. We're going to switch the songs because that is too short of a song and it's looping and annoying the fuck out of me. So we're going to change it to, considering that we're going to be talking about killer asteroids, I'm going to put it to the into space music. That's what we're going to do. Okay. That's better. Much better. Okay. So yeah. As I was saying, pain sucks balls. It really sucks. But yeah, I'm glad to have you here, Ryan. Let's see. Now the pain level itself isn't worse yet. 3 types of pain: location, age pain, and stress pain. First 2 are inevitable, last 2 is controllable. Yeah, that's true. Bath fixed pain like always. I love baths. And I know like that you really don't like the using like drugs and everything, but having a bath with a infused bath bomb with like THC and CBD is amazing for pain. And you don't even really get that high. You just get numb. Which is always good. So, in Ontario, we are dealing with, surprise, surprise, the threat of another strike. Now, there are a certain number of education workers that are actually underpaid, like early childhood education assistants, support, like educational assistants for special needs kids, like those ones, yes, they should get a pay raise. However, the union is demanding an 11% raise across the board. Nobody's going to give you that. The government, however, is legislating a contract, basically forcing a contract. That is also not legal. Oh, it doesn't work for you? But this is just, it's insane. So they've demanded an 11% raise across the board, including the administration, who makes tons of money. The government's like, no, I'm not doing that. So they're legislating a contract, which is not legal. And so now the union's like, well, we're just going to walk out anyway. Which is fucking the kids. Educationally. And nobody, like even people that support teachers, should be for a strike right now. We literally just got back to normal after 2 years of online school. And you want to strike? Like, really? Good idea, bad implementation. Typical government idiocy, typical union idiocy. Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's just, and I'm about ready. Like, if my school goes on strike and I get any emails from any teachers telling me, telling me what activities or work I should be doing with my kid while they're on strike, I'm be like, no, fuck you. Go back to work. Either go back to work or shut the fuck up, because if you're not going to be working, you don't get to tell me what I'm going to be doing with my kid during the time they should be with you. Do I expect you to raise my kid? No. Do I expect you to teach my kid like you're supposed to because that's your job? Yes. Yes, I do. So, am I going to obey your mandates for what we should do while they're away from school? No. Some of us aren't allowed to work, entitled motherfuckers, right? Oh my god. Okay, Ryan, there's a channel you should check out. Okay, Adonis Paul Live. All right, he does a show called Late Night with Adonis Paul. You would love him. Okay, and last night he was watching a video clip of a Starbucks worker literally crying about the work schedule. Literally crying. And I'm just like, it would be really nice if I could walk into Starbucks and get a job simply because I breathe and my body works fully. Like, that, it just makes me so mad when I hear people bitch about stuff like that. It's like, oh my god, my schedule, I have to work. It's like, you know what? You get that job because you're alive and your eyes work. That's why you get that job. Those are the only qualifications you need. So fuck you and stop bitching. Like, holy fuck. Like, and as I said, are there some sectors of the school boards that aren't getting paid properly? Yeah. So you know what? You push for raises for them. You don't push for raises for the whole fucking union. And then hold kids hostage and the parents' ability to care for the, like, provide care for them while they're supposed to be at school hostage. Like, that's insane to me. And there are some really good teachers out there. But it's just this whole striking nonsense, especially after 2 years of COVID. Like, holy shit, no, think of something else to do. And you know what was funny? Right before COVID started, they were doing rolling strikes. They were striking. So immediately, now that shit's back to normal, they're like, oh, back to the contract table. Back to the contract table. They don't care about kids. No, they don't. They do not care. They do not give a shit. The government doesn't give a shit. The union doesn't give a shit. Like, they just don't care. That's just how it is. Caring is not a thing that is possible for them. And it's kind of sad. Oh my goodness. Okay. I wish I knew where the clip was of what the timestamp was. You know what? Fuck it. It's Wacky Wednesday. We're gonna find the clip. I want to show you. I want to show you AP because AP won't care if I show you this clip. Late night with Adonis Paul. Survival instinct. Oh, no, that's not it. We're almost there. No, I don't want to test any features. Fuck you. I don't want to deal with any stupid features of you that you have YouTube because they generally suck. Like seriously. There we go. That'll do it. That'll do it. There it is. God, I love AP. AP is hilarious. AP is one of the best late night hosts on YouTube. I highly suggest, if you are not subscribed to Adonis Paul, that you go and do so. If you are, however, a giant snowflake and easily offended, go subscribe to him anyway, because your offense and your shock and horror will be glorious to behold, and we will all laugh at you. So please go subscribe to Adonis Paul, even if you're a giant snowflake and easily offended, because I love giving him content. So please, for the love of God, go subscribe to AP. But I'm gonna pull up this Starbucks clip from last night, because oh my god, it's so bad. Here we go. I found it. We're gonna watch, and I'm just showing you this because AP, like, his reactions and his comments are fucking hilarious. Like his video clips are funny to watch because he picks some hilarious lol cows, but the shit that he says in response to the lol cows is also great. So yeah, you must go check out AP if you have not done so already. Okay. Here we are at the 1 hour 29 minute mark. It's marketing. LOL, AP won't care even if you just let the whole show stream. No, he won't. He won't care. So here we go.
Have to quit your job making coffee? Oh, was it too hard for you, little guy? what happened, buddy? Sit next to Daddy AB. Tell us what happened. Here, first, before you start talking, I need to make a man out of you. If you don't mind. Tell us what happened. If you haven't been turned into a man, let me know. I'll punch you again.
I don't know if I'm going to do it, but like I really want to. I almost walked out today.
You remind me of those people sitting in tunnels underneath London.
I missed the first part of this. Oh my god. I came in halfway through this clip. Jesus Christ.
When the Nazis, when there would be air raid sirens and all the British people would go sit in the tunnels.
And I'm crying in the back room right now, and I almost cried on the floor.
I'm crying in the back room, and I'm curled up on the floor.
I get scheduled for 25 hours a week.
So you were 25 hours a week.
25 hours a week.
And on weekends, they schedule me the entire day, open to close. I'm on the schedule for 8.5 hours.
8.5 hours on the weekend. Let's round that to 8, just to be fair. So we got 16 hours done on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. When I assume you're not working all week. So let's say you have, so that's 16 hours. You were 25 hours a week. So you got to fill another 9 hours. Let's say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 3 hours you work.
Each, yeah.
And on the weekend, you have to work the same amount of hours as everybody else working a full-time job.
Oh, yeah. Dirty slots. That's one of the best parts of this show, Ryan, is dirty slots. You got to play the dirty slots.
Why are you crying? why are you crying, little friend? What's the matter?
Both Saturday and Sunday.
Most people work that long every day.
Right?
I'm like 3.5 hours into my shift. There's so many customers, and
Oh no! You mean like around lunchtime?
we have 4 people on the floor all day.
Oh, okay. Are you okay, sir, ma'am, sir, whatever?
Sir, ma'am, sir.
Are you considering that this video going viral is going to keep you from getting a job in the future?
Right.
This is an advertisement for Mr. I'm gonna call you. I don't know.
I walk Gaylord. More than that.
Smitty Gaylord, the brand.
Guys, Smitty sounds Gaylord like a shock jock like Crowder.
If Smitty Gaylord,
no. AP is Steven Crowder's a moron. AP is a shock jock, but is smart enough to know when he's like, okay, that's too far for even me. he's he's a lot better than Crowder, I think.
Is asked to work for more than 3 hours. Smitty Gaylord will have to take time to break down in the back and have a fucking cry if things get even mildly difficult for him. In a situation where the rest of the staff who's there is now shorthanded but able to handle it just fucking fine. Because Smitty Gaylord needs a little time to have his
why do I dislike Crowder? I find a lot of his takes kind of I find him and Tim Pool kind of in the same vein, and I don't like Tim Pool either. I find that I think Crowder's a little bit better than Tim Pool. I can at least agree with some of the things that Steven Crowder says, but like I do find that some of the stuff that he says, there have been some tweets that I've seen from him going, and I'm like, ooh, okay. Maybe I would enjoy his podcast a little bit, but I don't know. He's never been one that floated my boat. Crowder's a complex subject. Yeah, he is. He is a complex subject.
Emotional. He needs time for his emotional well-being when he's clocked in and not on a break, because the job that they asked Smitty Gaylord to do that everybody else can do is too long for him, even though everyone else has to work longer hours, and it's too emotionally trying for him, even though everybody else can handle it just fine. Because Smitty Gaylord is genderqueer and therefore special and requires these things be allowed for Smitty.
Yes.
And Smitty needs a union.
Yes.
So not only will Smitty refuse to work, and if you try to get him to work more than 3 hours, he breaks down like a broken fucking robot and just has to go reset in the back.
Yep.
He feels that if you allow him to do this, that's not fair enough. Smitty Gaylord here wants to unionize.
Because there's nothing better for gay and lesbian and trans rights than to show people that you go to pieces when you have to do hard work. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. That's a great way of making people like you. It's the same with disabled people. You know, the disabled people who think that they're owed, like, I shouldn't have to do anything. And his music is Hanson levels of terrible. It is. I have to be in the mood for Crowder, further right than I am. I'm never in the mood for Tim Pool anymore. Yeah. Anyone who is friends with Candace Owens and doesn't call out social autopsy tends to lose points with me. Thank you. What can I even say about this? Like mouth agape. Yeah. Oh, Harmful Opinions. Yes, Harmful Opinions was good. He was good.
Your ability to just sit back here and have a breakdown and still keep your job,
right?
lets me know that Starbucks is a pretty nice place to work.
Right?
Only 5 people were put on the schedule, and somebody had to call out. And there are 4 people running the whole store, and there's so many customers, and there's possibly scheduled 5 people.
What you just described, coupled
Sounds
by what I'm
normal.
seeing in you, lets me know that Starbucks' hiring process needs to be overseen by somebody more responsible. I could tell by looking at you, you'd be a fucking problem.
Yep.
But you're telling me there's other people who just call in, no call, no show? Yeah, because they quit. The same thing you're thinking about doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they need a union, right? No, I don't think so. Can we get somebody to describe the need for a union who isn't the weakest, most emotionally fragile person possible?
Nope.
We only have 13 people employed at this store, and there's so many
Only 13 people to make coffee.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
customers, and they're good.
Well, you know, maybe
Why
it wouldn't be
are
such a
you
big deal
this
if
upset
they stopped
about-
hiring people who could work more than 3 hours.
We don't have fair scheduling. Managers don't care about us. Our manager
Well, they don't care. They don't care about you. I'm sorry.
was supposed to come in this weekend, and he took himself off the schedule, so he wouldn't
Oh
be
my
able to
God.
be held accountable for calling out. He just
Oh no, a manager got up to some schedule
I enjoy
fuckery.
the change my mind debates,
That
but
sucks.
Crowder tends to
It makes you no
gaslight a lot.
different than
Yeah.
any other company anywhere.
literally tore down the schedule that he was scheduled on and put up a new schedule where he wasn't on the schedule. Also, he
This is
couldn't.
the perks of being the manager. You should work your way up, fuckface. Your schedule doesn't seem to change because
Mm.
you're in college. They work you 2 full weekend days and then
Yeah.
9 hours during the week.
Yeah, that's a college schedule.
What's the problem?
dude.
What does it matter who your manager is or if he's there or not?
Have even seen
Because I
that
need
he scheduled on the first
supervision!
place because he didn't want to be held accountable for not wanting to come in.
But you don't want to be held accountable for being too weak to even work your scheduled shift.
They don't want to help us.
They don't want to help you. Somebody this weak, somebody this emotionally fragile and frankly dumb has made it this far in a job because somebody helped him. They don't want to help us. What do you think working at Starbucks should be like, Simp? Really, what do you think it should be like, little Ralphie?
Right.
Think they should come in and you work an hour and then you get an hour off to, think about it. Just look, if you want a meditation room and a wine bar, you should go work at Twitter. Oops.
We need a union because this can't happen. This can't happen. We need fair scheduling.
Can't fucking happen.
We need managers to hold themselves
We
accountable.
need managers
for helping
to
their
hold
workers.
themselves
They refuse to turn
accountable. Oh
mobile
my
orders on. We need
God.
the liberty to be able to do
This
that
is
because there's so many
horrible.
mobile orders, and I need to get through all.
There's too many orders. There's too many people who want coffee at a coffee shop. I can't do it.
I can't. Oh,
You know
this
what else is
amazing.
fucked up? This dude thought this video would be well received.
Right?
Just like the doorbell cam person who was
Oh,
harassing the little kid.
yeah.
You filmed this yourself. You thought people would see this and be like, I can relate to that. I'm going to come to this person's aid.
I forgot about the
All you've done is
doorbell
make a
cam
video
person.
letting every other employee or employer in America know
Don't
why they
hire
should
me.
never hire
Yeah,
you.
don't hire this person.
And then people are yelling at me because I don't have their orders ready.
Yes, people are yelling at you because you had a breakdown instead of getting people's shit ready. People will yell. If your weakness is the only reason they cannot get what they're paying for, they're going to make you cry.
Yes.
I would do it.
Yes.
Doesn't look like it's too hard to do. Looks like some murky shit.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. Make the fucking coffee, you dumb fuck. It's already burnt to shit. You don't have to do much. It's fucking Starbucks. It's overcharged sewage water. What the fuck do you think you have to do? Jesus Christ almighty.
You having a little cry?
Customer was misgendering me today.
Oh, the customer was misgendering her. Oh no. Oh no. Hey asshole. You don't get to tell the customers what to call you.
No.
I'm sorry. I believe I'm a she. Yeah, okay, dude. Could you please get my latte? And you still got to get his coffee.
Yep.
I'm sorry if you don't like those rules. Then go start your own business like everyone else who didn't like those rules had to, including myself.
Yep.
I didn't have their order ready.
Well, it's different than gay rules. I just didn't want to go to somebody else's office all day and work.
And so they were
You can do it too.
just talking to each other, and they're like, she's clearly incompetent. I have a full mustache and beard.
Yeah, but you're crying like a little girl. See, there's more to being. You're like, I'm a man now. I have a mustache and beard. So does my fucking aunt. Well, she's old, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't. A mustache and beard do not a man make.
Dude, you know what? If you let your down there grow as a woman, that will have a mustache and beard. Does that make it a man? Hello.
I have to run and do a lawyer run.
Okay.
I got a feeling it's that one lawyer right in Uptown, right? That it's usually like going to the city, which is right across the parking lot. So I gotta do that. But I just sent you a DM. Razor dropped a new video. You might want to watch it. It's kind of interesting.
Okay.
Have you heard what the Atlantic posted yesterday?
No.
They want amnesty. All these nut jobs on these crazy people that were all screaming at us all about masks and shit. Now it's please forgive us. Yeah, watch Razor's video.
Owen.
Watch Razor's video next. He'll another one. Another decent guy who won't hit us.
Right.
But yeah, watch that one. It's funny.
Brandon says, Jesus, dude, there ain't enough therapists in the country to deal with you. Nope.
You want to be a man? You want me to treat you like a real man? All right, man. You're fired.
Yep.
If you can't handle working 3 hours, 3 days a week, and working 2 full shifts, you
You're
get the fuck
fired.
out and not have a job until you can get the emotional fortitude. You're a lady.
Yep.
The customer was right. You're a woman.
And no, AP, the customer was wrong. Because women don't pull shit like that. Okay? Ladies don't pull shit like that. All right? You know who pulls shit like that? Bitches. Bitches. And bitches ain't women. Okay? Some women are bitches. Not all bitches are women. Because to be a bitch takes like no fortitude. And I'm not talking about like even bad bitches aren't really cool. They're just mean for no reason. This is a weak bitch. There's a couple of different kinds of bitches, right? There's the weak bitch, which is this person. And then there's the bad bitch, which is the person who thinks that not caring about what people think means that you have to be a complete and utter cunt to people whenever you walk by them. That's what those are the category of bitch. All right? To be an actual cool bitch, to just be a bitch, you actually have to have integrity and like morals and know when to shut up. I'm still learning that. No, calling him a woman is unfair to women. I know biker chicks that would look at this that would yeah, exactly.
Because men don't have breakdowns like you're having right now. It is not accepted
Not even
when men have
real
breakdowns
women
like
don't
that.
even do this at their job.
All the little
They
perks
hold
about
that
being a
shit
woman
together
that
till
you
they
loved
get
about
to-
being a
till they
woman. You
get
think you
home.
should still keep them in the world of men? No, you want to be a man? That's fine. You're fucking fired. We're running a business here. We don't have time for you to work out your mental issues, bud. I'm happy to treat you like a man, but understand it means you're out of a job now.
Yep.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Fuck! I can't. Why did
What
they
the
call me a
fuck?
girl? Because you're crying like a little fucking girl. This is proof that you're not genderqueer or transgender or anything like that. You're a girl who took hormones until her lip hair grew in. You're still acting like a little girl.
Yeah, not even a woman. A little girl. Like an 8-year-old girl. Not even a pubescent girl. You're literally like, oh my god, I have to work. That's you.
Well, men don't cry. That's the problem. No. Men not being taken seriously when it comes to things like suicide or mental illness, when shit's getting really bad, is the problem. I don't think any man has ever had a problem with smacking somebody like you at the job.
Nope.
Get the fuck out of here. Just get out. We'll do better without you.
I don't get accommodations for being neurodivergent.
I'm sharing you some crazy right-wing people now.
Well, what do you mean?
I'm sharing the stream to Chrissy Mayer and them.
Oh, how are you doing that?
Because she just tweeted out, so I said, "Good morning, Chrissy. Would you like something new to watch? Go watch the Coffee Street. Yes, you need traffic. I'm sad. You're doing really good lately. You're picking it up. You're picking up the pace, and unfortunately, the algorithm is just kicking me in the nuts, which means you're good. Yeah, you know what I mean. Get it? Got it? Good. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
I don't. I can't use.
It's neurodivergent as well, guys.
He's neurodivergent. Oh god.
It's gotta have a million excuses why it never has to emotionally mature. I know growing up, emotionally maturing and becoming an adult is hard.
Yeah.
Yes, it hurts.
Deal with it.
It's big letdowns. Very disappointing in some cases. All these people are people who refuse to grow up and have come up with justifications to stay children forever via the mental health industry. The quote, mental health industry.
And does the actual mental health industry give a fuck about people who are actually mentally ill, including children? No! Fuck no! Because it can make money off of these motherfuckers. Fuck, man. Okay. It's more of the same. So let's go over to Razor Fist and see what that has to say. Children make excuses. Adults make changes. Yes. Exactly, Elwin. Exactly. Okay. So we have this video now, and again, Razor Fist is great. So we're good. Okay. It's a clip, I think. Okay. Here we go. Gotta make sure that we share the screen properly. Okay. And theater mode. Theater mode. There we go. All right.
Narrative around the boof coof has officially
boof-coof.
shifted dramatically. This time last year, 3 separate rants of mine were banished to the deepest boof depraved tracks of the YouTube memory hole for merely opining on this subject. And if I were to so much as mention the dreaded coof word, there's an 11 in 10 chance that Google Gestapo will still awkwardly and automatically append an obnoxious exploitation for us all to.
I love how he words things. Like, this has to be hard. Like, you know he writes this out first. And there's no way that I would be able to recite that from memory without reading it in front of me.
Study the facts in detail, often with an accompanying link to a government-mandated website filled with information they now concede was outright false. And this authoritarian cohabitation of private business and state-sanctioned narrative is still something the socialistic left laughingly refer to as the free market. What a decuman difference a year makes. The Pope of the Pinko Pox, Anthony Fauci, has spent much of this past fall admitting fault while awkwardly evading culpability, and what he's since conceded was a mishandling of the response to the bat death. While Menshevik piece of Atlantic published an op-ed just a week ago that insisted, as if it hadn't been loudly suggested by the previous president and his supporters for over a year, that lengthy school closures were a failed policy, and as if they hadn't called him a dangerous fascist for so much as proposing it. And it's also the Atlantic that made more waves than Boogie's waterbed this week.
Oh my god! Holy shit, raise your fist. What the fuck? That's awesome. Oh my god, I love it.
When they suggested unironically that we declare a mutual pandemic amnesty. Quote.
A what? A what? I'm sorry. A pandemic amnesty. Wait a minute. So anyone who didn't want to wear a mask or was even like doing a little bit extra research on the vaccine before getting it, they were Nazis and people that wanted people to die and therefore that they should die. But you guys want amnesty for wishing death on people and routing out your neighbors for having one extra person in their house. Are you fucking serious? How about you just fuck off?
We need to forgive one another for what we did and said when we were all in the dark about COVID. On the face of it, the eternal optimist might take this to mean that
I had no way to explain this to you other than showing you this
move
video.
Forward wiser and as one.
Please forgive
In
us for
practice,
shunning
what
you,
emerges
etc.
is an
Right?
unremitting tempest of sophistry
off.
and rationalization, inexpertly camouflaged as conciliatory claptrap. Are there affronts on both sides?
Yeah.
Sure, the laws of probability being what they are, I'll just go ahead and assume that there are. But only one side of the societal schism passed mandates to disemploy any and all who refuse to comply with edicts they now admit were functionally useless.
Not only disemploy, wish death upon, deny access to service, medical care. Yeah.
Only one side shuttered California's entire beachfront for interminable months, rounding up and arresting all who violated the spurious directive. Only one side persecuted congregations for convening regular church services, sometimes under penalty of imprisonment, while taking cringeworthy care to craft a public statement via the CDC, abjuring the self-same directives for racial rioters. Effectively,
yeah, it was totally fine to go riot in the streets unmasked in the thousands in close quarters, but you can't go to church. What? And I don't go to church. I think organized religion is bullshit. But if you want to go to church, you should have the right to fucking go to church. I'm sorry. Hey, spittlebuggies! And causing the current ER wait times by firing staff. Right! I just noticed the area that we want to move in, one of the areas we want to move to, they just closed one of the clinics till December. Oh. The vet the cats go to just dropped mandates. Oh my God, Ellen. So I went into physio on Monday. They still are making you wear masks. And luckily I had one in my coat, but I didn't think I had one. And she's like, well, we still have mask mandate. I'm like, I haven't worn a mask since April. She's like, all healthcare places have mask mandates. I'm like, I was just in my doctor's office and I didn't have to wear a mask. So I also don't hang out in healthcare facilities all day. So I don't have masks on me. I'm sorry. Like, I don't, like, people are just rude.
Underwriting the Summer of Love festivities that killed 19 people in just 14 days, or as it's known in Chicago, a slow weekend. Only one side prescribed remote funerals. Only one side barred relatives from attending the death of a beloved grandparent, spouse, or even child. And it was only one side that refused to even entertain the suggestion that the Wuhan lab leak was responsible for the pandemic, despite credible health officials strongly suggesting otherwise, nearly all of whom were penalized by having their social media accounts forcibly closed.
And so when he talks about having to be at the death of a loved one, or not being allowed to be at the death of a loved one, that was one of the reasons why we got my uncle home into hospice care. And that my aunt basically had to be his nurse until he died, because if they kept him in the hospital, nobody was going to be allowed to go see him. And we were like, no, he's not going to die in a hospital alone. Like, my aunt was like, if it means that I have to, be exhausted and, change him and all this until he dies, then so be it. He's not dying alone in a hospital. I had to wear one at the sleep clinic until I went to sleep. All I did was make jokes. Huh? So COVID only attacks you while you're awake and breathing, not while you're asleep and breathing?
And it's only one side who now quietly acknowledged the truth of the lab leak theory in Congress just this past month, with only conservative news outlets even bothering to report that fact. You weren't in the dark. You were wearing blinders, and you had anyone who attempted to remove them deplatformed or arrested. Quit lying. And yes, I'm aware these are not perfectly unique observations, but first off, this is YouTube. You're subscribed to 100 channels that offer nothing but observations that are not unique. Why piss on me? And second, the purpose of this video isn't to offer some manner of earth-shattering inside or existential treatise. It's not to marshal an army or helm a social movement. My reason for making this video is simple: to remind you of what they did. I think it's fair to say, in a world where we went from Obama opposes gay marriage in 2008 to government-funded penis removal surgeries for the underaged in 2018.
Thank you, Razor Fist. Fuck, man. Like, not even 18 or not even 12 years. Not even 12 years.
That the only detachment surgery we truly need is to separate the term fallacy from slippery slope. Never mind that slippery slope sounds like the name of an Asian Dick Tracy villain. For said incline to be politically effective, it must first be lubricated. And the authoritarian opposition cannot accomplish that because they aren't in a position to. Only entrenched a-holes on our own side can facilitate that particular feat. 100 years of accepting the false premises of our enemies by arguing on their own terms should long have disabused you of that fallacious notion. It wasn't the brilliance of socialist economists or bra-burning feminists that turned universities into struggle session study hall.
No.
It was right and libertarian-leaning economists who were so busy arguing the inefficiencies and impracticalities of socialism that they unwittingly and implicitly accepted the underlying unspeakable evil that seizing the property of strangers is morally permissible if it's done in service to some nebulous collectivist social principle. Milton Friedman and Murray Rothbard, whatever their other virtues, did more harm to liberty and property rights by arguing on and thus accepting the flawed moral premises of their enemies than the most frothing, fidel-filating socialismo in all of academia. Hell.
Thank you. This is the problem with navel gazing on either side. The moment you stop calling out and actively criticizing both sides, even sometimes people you agree with, the minute you just start, oh yeah, everything's fine, that's when the bad shit, that's when the seedy, insidious shit slips past you.
Oh, the lockdowns, mandates, and assorted ass hattery would have been impossible if implemented only by the opposition. It was Trump himself who
Costin,
initiated
Mr.
same, albeit
Self-Destruction.
with a fair amount of buyer's remorse within weeks of enacting it. And if Trump intends to run for a second and final term in 2024, it's a lesson he must demonstrate he's learned, or I, for one, will happily pull the lever for Paul, DeSantis, or a grilled cheese sandwich before I allow a well-meaning moron to grease the despotic slip and slide so the true tyrants can inherit and exploit it, as Biden inarguably has. Because if we don't, then just as before, when we move on, when we forget, when false premise piles upon false premise, then the very fabric of reality is permitted to be indicted, not by objective fact or observable reality, but by narrative as misportrayed by mainstream media. Which brings us to why we're here, seated beside the smoldering rubble of the post-coup-apocalypse, where 1,000 false narratives congealed into one incendiary uber falsehood that enabled our entire political and media class to attack, arrest, or otherwise unperson anyone at all who dared be instructed by their own eyes, ears, and discernment. And now the trust the science crowd are feeling a little less trusting of the science, now that Fauci and the Funky Bunch are adding more asterisks than Barry Bonds' stat sheet, and you suddenly want to bury the hatchet? Oh, sweet cherubic summer child. We won't be forgetting, and we're well beyond forgiveness. We won't forget losing gainful employment at the altar of authoritarian mandates we warned you about passing. We won't forget beloved local businesses being bulldozed by alarmist collectivism.
No.
We won't forget bidding farewell to the ones we love over the intimacy of Skype.
Yeah, or, you know, fucking attending weddings or but like, fuck you. No, we won't be forgiving this. Fuck off.
We won't forget funerals convened behind a plastic divider, if we were allowed to attend at all, only for Gammy to be fired into the earth in a pneumatic fucking tube like a paycheck at a drive-through bank teller. We will not allow you to recast it as Trump's lockdowns when you demanded he do worse, and did once your shambling shitheel was installed into office. Trump shoulders his share of the blame for a fact, but his culpability in the status monstrosity we're presently enduring is a teardrop on the face of the fucking ocean next to what you've allowed to occur. We do not accept your apology. We are not talking terms. My response is as pithy and permissive as the one you shot at us over the preceding 2 years. Get fucked and go to jail, though not necessarily in that order. I'm Razor Fist. Don't forget, don't forgive, and God fucking speed.
God damn, I love that guy. He is awesome. Ooh. Where's the link? Hold on. Let me see if I can get this playing. Let me see if I can get this playing here. Where's the live? Where's the live thing? Pat King is one of the organizers testifying. Where's the fucking... No, you know what I'm gonna do? Because there is a Global News is covering it. Hold on. 3.3 thousand people watching. Holy shit. Okay. Let's get this shared here quickly.
Or anyone else to make a reasoned conclusion.
You agree hate speech has been codified in the criminal code, right?
Yes, and I find the
Okay,
Prime
here we
Minister's
go.
hate speech towards unvaccinated people and saying how do we deal with people deeply troubling.
Right. So you don't agree then that threats against the life of somebody is not a protected form of speech under the charter.
I do not believe that anyone, either morally or legally, should be threatening.
Oh,
anyone
okay, so
else's
some
life,
navel.
and I have received many death threats myself since representing the Freedom Convoy.
Okay, so we agree that that's not protected, right? Death threats
Yes.
are not protected.
Death threats are
Correct.
not protected.
Nor is speech that is looking to demean to an extent a particular group of people in a serious way.
Sir,
Hate speech.
I'm going to have to object at this time. My friend is entirely mischaracterizing the law of Section 2B of the Charter and the decisions in respect to that. In fact, the Supreme Court of Canada, of course, has held that hate speech, other than inciting violence, is actually protected by Section
It is.
2B of the Charter. And so I would ask that my friend essentially cease putting errors of law to the witness on public
Thank you.
I am just asking for his view as a lawyer, but I don't have to continue. I have other questions.
Mr. Commissioner, I hate to interrupt the proceedings, but I've received an email communication from our certified transcriptionist asking if parties, when they're making objections from the floor, to please state their name first. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay, I think this is proper cross-examination, so
Are you kidding me?
Okay. So
Are you serious?
you'd agree trucks do not have charter rights.
Yes,
What?
obviously.
Good. And you don't have the right to park somewhere for 3 weeks, wherever you want, whenever you want.
I was asked many times, every day, by truckers when they recognized me, and they would say, Mr. Wilson,
Wow.
am
This
I
is
allowed
insane.
to have my truck here? And if they were parked in the parking lane, I would say it depends. What does the sign say about how long you can park? You might get a ticket. If they were parked in a driving lane, I had the same response to all of them, which was, you tell me this. If you were to stop your truck in the number 2 lane on the 401 and get out and leave it, what would happen? And they would say the OPP would come, they would ticket it, and they would tow it away.
Yeah.
I would say to them, you're in the exact same situation here. No, you cannot lawfully park your truck
in the driving
there.
lane. No.
There is an interesting argument because they were told to park there by the police as to whether they might have an officially induced error defense, but that was the answer that I would give them.
Okay. You'd agree it's not a protected right under the charter.
Of course.
And
Of course it's
neither
not.
is blaring high decibel horns a protected form of speech or action under the charter.
Well, there was, and I'm not trying to be cute about this, but you're asking me a very nuanced question because charter rights, especially when you get into freedom of expression,
Yep.
are nuanced. Is there were times where these dance parties on the weekend, and I said this and it's in the transcript, but when I was before Justice McLean, because we did have a discussion about whether there was an artistic element, and the trucks would start with the different frequency of their horns, would start doing dance beats.
Yeah.
So there was that, but it's clear
I like this.
Miss Leach
I like
and
this
Mr.
lawyer.
Barber
Me
were
too.
clear that they did not want the horns. Before the injunction, the week before the injunction, the truckers agreed amongst themselves to have a quiet time from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. because they wanted to get sleep too.
Right.
The injunction allowed that to be expanded.
Well, people weren't dancing to these horns that were going all hours of the day and night. You've heard the
Sure they
evidence
were.
from the residents.
There's video
I
of it.
witnessed people dancing.
There's
a lot
literal-
to the horns with
there is
music. I'm
literal
sorry, so that's what I
video.
saw. I'm under oath.
Yes, at 1 a.m, 3 a.m.
Yes,
And okay,
I did.
I won't
I wasn't
go
on the
any-
street at 3 a.m, so I can't say. But
There's
I was at
literal
least once or
video.
twice leaving meetings at 1 a.m.
Literal video.
I've got your perspective. Do you recall a second press conference that you gave on with others on February 6th? So this one you were more organized. I could call up document COM. I think it's 50856. It's a transcript of that. There, you attended, Ms. Litch, Mr. Bulford, Mr. Dichter, and Tom Quigan. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yes,
Do you recall that?
I believe that was a press conference that Mr. Dichter had asked that was primarily focused on Bitcoin. It was in the Sheraton Hotel.
Ah,
and
Bitcoin.
I and Miss Litch were asked to come to attend the first part of it, to provide a legal update and an operational update on where things were at.
So these were people who are all part of your group. Is that right?
Your
So
group.
Tom Quigan, Mr. Dichter, Mr. Bulford, Ms. Litch, that they're all part of your convoy group leadership, would you say, or part of your working group?
They're part of the Freedom Convoy, about as far as I'd be prepared to go.
Okay. And you worked together.
I worked with lots of people every day on a wide variety of issues.
And Tom Quigan is an ex-military intelligence officer.
Oh
That's my
no,
understanding.
not an ex-military
And,
intelligence
He
officer.
worked in the operations center. Is that right?
He was mostly. I
That
almost
must
never
mean
saw
they
him in
were
operations center at the
terrorists.
Swiss. He was almost always at the Ark, and he was doing these on his own initiative, these daily situation briefs. They were not reviewed by anybody. In fact, I still haven't even read most of them. We had no time to even read them, and he was circulating them to the truckers.
Now, so he did write daily intelligence reports and special intelligence reports on certain events, correct?
That's my understanding.
That's
Yes,
what he
I've
literally
read
just
some of them
said.
since preparing for this.
And do you place credence in his assessments?
Sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't.
Are you okay? Well, we could take you to who he is first. Page 12 of this document. Where it has his Tom McQuiggan's. If you go down to line 12.
Again, they don't know where their page
12.
numbers
Yeah, I
are.
got page 12 here. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. Yeah. So it says he describes himself. I'm ex-military.
That was the
intelligence. I
live
also worked for
steroid-
RCMP
the
for
live
6
where I
years in
told you
national
it-
security, the integrated national
Where they were
security
talking about being
enforcement team.
Christians and
One of the
crypto.
few court experts
Oh,
in the
yeah.
country on terrorism, and I'm a declared court expert in both in criminal court, and which is to say Ontario Superior Court as well as the federal court. Do you see that?
Yeah, I've since reviewed his CV and confirmed these things to be true.
Okay. And he did put out reports every day, right?
I don't know if it was every day. I was a few days in that I learned that these things were occurring. I think they were distributed to the block captains, if I'm not mistaken, in the morning.
Yeah. So I
You're
on
going to
page-
have to get to the point quite quickly. You're already over time.
oh,
Ha 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 ha
well, I'll take you to one of the threat assessments right now.
Sucker.
Okay.
One of the daily assessments. It's document HRF 123456018.
You just got told to hurry up.
So you'll agree that there were people attracted to the convoy, not only strange, but who had violent tendencies, if you could look.
What?
So this is on February 3rd.
Strange and
This
violent
is the day I think
tendencies.
you arrived.
What does that mean?
Here, the assessment is Freedom Convoy 2022 assess that potentially violent protesters may arrive in Ottawa to vandalize property. Following that, they will then attempt to blame convoy members for the violent actions. The protesters are likely to arrive in Ottawa either late Wednesday or Thursday. Violent actions are likely intended for Thursday and Friday. The actions from the protesters are likely to consist of harassment of citizens and damage to vehicles and properties. And then they describe how they're going to be dressed. Do you see that?
Yeah, I recall that. In fact, we were received a separate briefing, and this actually was raised by GoFundMe executives and their legal team on our call on the Thursday. And it was Antifa. They had previously come in on occasion and knifed trucks, cut the airlines, knife tires. And they had announced on social media, I was told, the Antifa group, that they were going to be coming in a larger numbered force and trying to do more damage to the trucks.
So if I might ask one more question, Mr. Commissioner, just on, it's on a document that the transcript, if you could pull up the transcript again, it's page 14. It has to do with tow trucks, an issue that everybody seems to have an opinion on. So
wow, this guy is
in the interview.
This guy is biased as fuck. Holy shit.
So he says concerning tow trucks, the short answer is tow truck companies right across the country in Alberta, Ontario, whatever, have either politely refused requests from the government to assist or not so politely refused requests for assistance. And if you turn over the page, well, sorry, go down to the bottom of that page first. What it shows is the federal government in Ottawa is reaching all the way down to Buffalo, New York, trying to find a tow truck, and they can't get one because the turn over to the page. Trucking industry is somewhat of a brotherhood, much like the military, much like the police, and we do kind of.
Hey, Spitter Buggies, yeah, you're here.
No tow truck company that wants to be in business for more than a week after this is going to help out. And it goes down a couple more paragraphs. So what's actually happening now, we have a network of tow truck operators who are talking to each other to see who's being called and who's not. Short answer is they're having a hard time getting tow trucks. So was the convoy actively trying to prevent?
That doesn't say anything about the convoy trying to prevent it.
No,
that
there was
says
never any of the
that
rooms I was
says
in, and I was
tow truck drivers and
times,
truckers are a
any,
brotherhood. They're not
effort,
going to.
attempt,
They're
or
not
even
going to turn on
discussion
their
about
own.
reaching out to
That
any tow
wasn't a
companies to
ha
discourage
ha
them.
ha. We've
And
reached
we know
out
from the
and
evidence
like
from the police in the previous days of this inquiry that in fact the governments were able to get tow trucks.
That's insane.
So that contradicts what Mr. McGuigan just said in his press conference on February 6th.
And corroborates my evidence that sometimes I agreed with them and sometimes I didn't.
Well done, sir.
Okay, the Ottawa Residents Coalition, please.
Yeah, because we're not a communist nation. The companies are allowed to say fuck you to the government.
Paul Champ for the Ottawa Coalition of Residents and Businesses. Commissioner, I'm going to, I don't think I'll have any difficulty finishing within time, but just like advise that the City of Ottawa has offered their time to me in the event I get close. So. Mr. Wilson, just have a few questions for you on your testimony from this morning. First is with respect to your flight to Ottawa, how you got here. Mm-hmm. There was a news report that was on a charter flight operated by
I know nothing of Canadian law, but this guy's logic is faulty. Never mind any legal errors he might be making.
That
yeah.
company is now under investigation by Transport Canada for carrying unvaccinated people on that.
I thought California had issues, but the situation seems tame. It depends. Yeah, you should see how the House of Commons acts.
And who originally offered to pay for the flight? Was that Mr. Bourgault?
I'm not, as I testified earlier, entirely clear on who was offering. I don't remember it to be Bourgault. It might have been Take Back Our Freedoms. I believe there was a couple of
Ooh,
people.
take back
and
our
as I
freedoms
explained,
is
we
kind
had
of
this
a
pattern where people would come
iffy
forward and say, "Oh, we'll look
movement.
after this."
Or
we'll
no,
look
that's
after that."
Canada First. That's
And
the
it didn't happen. There was some uncertainty as to whether or not we were even going to be allowed to get on the plane. But the Justice Center said, "This is too important. Get on the plane. We'll sort this out later."
Now, before you got on the plane, I understand from the interview summary of Mr. Eros that there was a virtual meeting or a Zoom meeting on or about January 31st, where there was yourself, Andre Mamari, Brian Peckford, Tamara Leach.
fun fact:
and
Canadian
yourself
and American
Joseph
laws are quite
Bordeaux.
similar,
Do you
like
recall that?
99%.
It
Yeah,
was
we're very
on
close.
the
We're very
evening of
similar.
the first. It was the reception they had in the hotel was terrible, terrible. They've only heard probably a third of what we talked about. Mr. Bogo was not on that. There was a doctor with a British accent, very nice man. I can't remember his name. And Mr. Peckford was most definitely not on that call.
Was not.
Was not.
Was there another virtual call with Mr. Borgo and yourself and Mr. Eros?
I've never had a virtual call at any time in my life involving Mr. Eros and Mr. Bogle ever.
When you arrived in Ottawa, you testified that it was apparent to you that Ms. Leach really was the leader of this movement. You said that it seemed that people listened to her. She seemed to command a lot of respect and so forth.
And she's kind of a
that's right.
crazy, crazy
Yeah, and
bitch.
even if you walk the streets when we were moving from one location to another, it was remarkable the people that would come up and stop her and politely ask if they could have a hug. And the tears would just start to flow. And often I was standing behind her and I would hear what these incredibly tragic stories that these people would share, and the grown men, and about how they'd lost children to suicide, they'd lost their businesses, they'd lost their marriage. And it was Tamara and seeing what Tamara was doing that had given them hope.
I guess was it also in part because people knew that she had control over the $10 million from GoFundMe? That's why she was a leader?
Tamara figured out something.
The
way
difference
before
just
I
comes down to legislation and governments.
And I
Yep.
remember it was my fault. I thought someone was coming up to hug her. We were leaving the Westin Hotel.
Mostly
after coming
only
out of the meeting
differing
with
in
Dean French
small
on Friday
details.
night
Yep.
When he had presented the mayor's
There's a Canada
proposal.
First. Yep.
I thought it was someone wanting a hug, and it turned out it was a TV crew from Berlin TV from Germany. And I felt bad because we tried to.
You'd be amazed
protect
how many
Tamara from
Americans
that,
came up
but,
here for the Freedom Convoy. Yes,
when
it
they
was
asked her about
crazy.
the 10 million, she responded by saying the money's symbolism. The money is symbolism. It was, and if you look at how much money actually got to the truckers and how much was actually returned to the donors, the vast majority ended up back at the donors. And as you know very well, otherwise it's in the escrow fund under court supervision, partly over which you must receive notice before anything can happen to it.
Yeah.
So the money was symbolism in Tamara's view, and I think she's right. It was a way for Canadians to demonstrate and add their voice to what they thought the Freedom Convoy stood for, which was holding the government to account and advocating for respect for our charter, return to the rule of law.
Right. That's literally all this
gonna
was
ask a question on this,
supposed
but
to
I
be
couldn't help
about.
when I heard your testimony about the horn injunction. You testified that you advised your clients that the horns were a problem and that you expected that the injunction would be granted. And you were asked a couple of times by Commission Counsel about whether your clients opposed the injunction. Just to be clear, your clients opposed that injunction, correct?
Thank you. I honestly can tell you, Mr. Champion, as you know, one of the things that happens to me when I come to Ottawa, I meet you. and I mean that in a respectful way. You've been very professional in your dealings, and I thank you. I actually, as I was
This
asked
is
that
so
question,
very
couldn't remember
Canadian.
whether I actively oppose. So if that's your memory, I agree that I probably did do as lawyers do oppose, but I.
But
did,
I mean,
what
if Nick
remember more clearly
Fuentes showed up
is
here,
advising my clients that there was no
I'd have
way
to punch him.
that the court was not going to grant that injunction.
You had argued that the horns were not irreparable harm and Ms. Lee should wear earplugs. Do you remember to sleep? Do you remember those arguments?
I don't, but I have confidence in you. If that's your memory, then I'll accept that.
Okay, I won't go further down the road of the different arguments that were made. But then on the continuation of the injunction a week later, as you remember, that became a bargaining point with the city. You were offering to the city that perhaps your clients wouldn't oppose the continuation of Ms. Lee's Horn injunction if they did certain things. Is that right?
That's correct. And my memory, I'm hoping, is correct that you recall we did not oppose that.
Yeah, that's correct. That's right. You did not oppose the second one. I want to ask you some questions about dealings with the police. Now, you've testified that you were hearing at times that there were police raids imminent at different times during the protest. And we did hear some evidence from the police that there were raids planned at times that then were aborted.
When did they
it
get
sounds
dragged
you
by
might
the
have had some
horses?
solid intelligence on that. Is that fair?
Well, actually, we thought we did, but after having observed the proceedings,
Well, apparently,
since, the last few weeks, we had no idea of the level of dysfunction.
Apparently, the person who went after Paul Pelosi is like BC, like it's from British Columbia. Oh, I thought Pat King was going to be testifying. So this is getting kind of we're getting to the. Oh, okay. So let's carry on.
Of infighting that was going on, that was all new revelations through this inquiry.
I'm gonna let this
those
play
new
and go
revelations
refill
are
my
definitely an
coffee
issue
really
your
quick.
clients and my
Hold,
clients could agree
please.
on for sure. Now, but you were getting information from sympathetic police, is that right?
That's correct.
Throughout.
Yes, there was. The remarkable thing was that all these different individuals who had experienced, I was never, prior to this, a big believer, I didn't think they were a bad idea, but mission statements. It was remarkable how efficient everybody worked because they all had the same mission statement that they had formulated deep to the core of their being, was that they felt the country was badly off track, that their families and their communities were being harmed, and this was their opportunity to try and make a difference. So we had former police officers, military, Navy, CSIS, airline pilots, doctors, nurses, teachers, carpenters, chiropractors. The whole breadth of society was there, and the cream just rose, and they organically came together during the time. In those who were getting things done, there was very little infighting. There was a lot of people coming in that we were trying to manage, but it was really remarkable, the organic way in which the enterprise ran.
So that if people could cook, they were cooking. If they were IT people, they were helping you with that. If they were communications people,
well,
they were
and
helping with that. And
I still
if
remember
they were police and had intelligence, they could share you with that.
One really illustrative example was in the operations center mid-morning, super cold outside. Some people are the big, huge square table, people working, people standing in groups, people looking at things on the board. And then someone came in and said some situations occurring at Alberton, Kent, or wherever
I have
was.
returned.
And everybody stopped for a minute. No one said what needed to be done. Two people got up, threw their
We're gonna
coats on,
watch
grabbed their two
a little
cigarettes
bit
off,
more of
and then
this, and then we're
everybody
gonna move on to
It
the
was
last
so
video
efficient
that I have.
There was no point even discussing what needed to be done and who was going to be doing it. Once the information came in, that the people who knew they were best suited for dealing with it did. It was spectacular to watch. That's why I now believe mission statements are very important.
Now, on some of the things that people were doing cooperatively with the convoy, we heard from both Ms. Belton and Mr. Barber about the distribution of cash to truckers. You knew that was going on, right?
I observed it, yes.
You observed
it.
And they were trying to keep track of how much cash was being put into each envelope before it was being distributed.
Yeah, that was really Chad Erose's department, and he has given interviews that are online where he describes Chris Carson's interview where he describes the processes that he put in place. But I did observe cash being counted. My understanding was it was coming from the stage and from other places. And being put into envelopes, and then teams would go out and distribute it to the truckers.
But Mr. Eros, he was one of the directors of Freedom Corp, correct?
He was
Freedom Corp.
Director. He was a treasurer, and he was a paid accountant.
Freedom
So
Corp.
he was gathering or trying to keep track of that money on behalf of Freedom Corp, right?
I would hope so.
Right. And as an advisor,
You missed
to
the
Freedom
death
Corp at
match.
that time, you were aware that they were managing this distribution of funds and cash out to the truckers.
He was, yes.
Okay. And he had estimated that it seemed that around $20,000 per day was being raised through cash and e-transfers. Do you have any reason to dispute that?
I think the first time I saw cash would have been probably around, just trying to visualize a calendar here, probably around the 11th or the 11th, maybe. Yeah. And that weekend, the 12th. That was after the provincial government in Ontario, the Attorney General, issued the seizure order that you're familiar with.
Oh,
with
the
respect to
stops
the
of the
Gibbs
Gibbs and Go. Yeah.
And much like what you saw happen with when the police said no
Blocking the
more fuel
GoFundMe was a pisser and should have
to-
never happened.
if you
No,
bring
I
fuel
agree.
to downtown, you're going to be charged with counseling mischief or something.
Yeah.
The next day, Ottawa residents and everyone showed up with gas cans. It was an I am Spartacus moment. And what I observed was people were so determined to support the truckers that because the GoFundMe got shut down and now the Give, Send, Go was being frozen, they weren't going to let that discourage them. I heard anecdotal stories from many truckers where they would get the tap on the door and someone would be there with their family and give them $20 or $100 or $1,000
with
or
gas. Yeah.
$5,000.
So in your statement, you say that some people were at the protest for money. Is getting all of this cash, you think that was an incentive for the truckers to stay?
Not the vast majority, because that wasn't why they were there. There's always opportunistic
Oh, of course.
people that are more focused on money than others of us. That's all I meant.
And those trucks, the 300 to 400 semi-tractor trailers operating 24-hour or idling 24 hours a day required a lot of diesel fuel, correct?
Not as much as if they're pulling a load.
For sure. But who was paying for all of that fuel, the big trucks, fuel at Coventry?
I know we put into in your action with the Mariva injunction, there's details on that in the affidavits. But I also know that I was told by a businessman who wanted to donate fuel that he had contacted or had his office contact 3 different fuel suppliers and the bulk suppliers, and he wanted to pay for a shipment of fuel from
And they
each
were
of
out,
them.
I guess.
They declined because they said the best they could do was put him on a waiting list. They had so many people phoning from across the country to pay for fuel to be delivered downtown that they actually didn't want his money, and they said all they could do is put him on a waiting list.
That's
So just
insane.
a couple last points, Mr. Wilson, just about some of the people who you're involved with. Pat King, you testified that you knew him from about a year before the convoy protests. Is that right?
Yeah, like I wasn't at his house or anything. And
No.
Yeah, he had gone on this highly misinformed rant on social media, and he
Thank
was attacking a
you,
reporter,
lawyer,
and so
for
I-
saying that he was
so it dangerous on
misinformed.
Twitter. I jumped in and explained the law and showed the pleadings, so to show where he was misunderstanding how the law worked, and he hadn't set this big precedent. But he's a loud voice like Chris Sky,
Right.
so I was aware of him.
But Mr. Sky is from Ontario, generally speaking. But Mr. King is from Alberta, like yourself, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Sky made his way across the country a few times.
More of that. But Mr. King, he is in Alberta, so you did have some interactions with him.
You know, there's 4 million people in Alberta, right?
Yeah, but I presume you don't have interactions with all of them. But I'm asking about Mr.
That's
King, not
funny.
all 4 million.
The first time I was in physical presence of Mr. King was when he showed up in a boardroom in Ottawa during the protest, and it was about 2 or 3 days in, and I immediately instructed him to leave the room. Not him. I told the people around he's got to go. The only other direct interaction I had with him was on Twitter in the previous about 18 months prior to that, where he was misunderstanding a ruling by a court judge.
But Mr. King, my understanding, he was a supporter of Western separatism and so forth.
Oh
Wexit,
yeah,
those
he's
kinds
a
of movements.
Wexit
Were you aware
idiot.
of that?
I wasn't aware of that. It wouldn't surprise me, but I wasn't aware of that.
Were you involved in those movements, Western separatism?
I've never formally been involved in those movements. I have been very concerned about the merits and the fairness of our confederation, but seeing, as you've heard, and I saw it myself, a Quebecer with a Quebec flag running towards an Albertan with a cowboy hat and an Alberta flag and embracing, seeing a Quebecer trucker who could not speak any English with a trucker from elsewhere in Canada, I don't know where he was from, who couldn't speak any French, and they were using Google Translate in a Tim
That's
Hortons
so
to
cool.
communicate, and they were laughing and getting along. It
You know, you're from
restored my
Alberta.
faith
You know
in the
Bob from
future of our
Alberta.
country.
He works in an
So just
office
the
in
last person I
Alberta.
wanted to ask you about while you're talking about French, Mr. Dean French.
I'm in
Mr. French
Pennsylvania.
called
God
you a
forbid
patriot,
someone
is
in
that
PA
right?
commits a crime and I don't know
believe
about
that's
it.
in the text message. Yes.
Right?
Yeah, he supported the movement wholeheartedly, did he not?
It's clear. You'd have to ask him, but it was clear to me that he that he also had concerns about government overreach, and that the truckers were protesting that.
And I thought I understood from your text with Mr. French, he's the one that arranged that interview with you and Fox News. Is that right?
He did, but I also received phone calls from Fox News. I received emails from Fox News. They were all about the same time. I mean, that's how these guys work. When they really want to get somebody, they reach out to everybody they can. I don't know that it was because of Dean that I got it. It might have been, but I had emails and phone calls from Fox News independent of those, just like I had been contacted by the New York Times and the Washington Post and everyone else.
But he was assisting you.
Not really, though. He didn't really say.
I wouldn't say he was assisting me. It was something he did on his initiative. I think he thought I would be a good interview.
Yeah, he
I
didn't.
was surprised to see you on legacy media like Fox News. But
well, I guess we all get surprised.
This last piece, did Mr. French ever indicate to you whether he had any communications with Premier Ford about his views about the protest?
He never did, but my clear sense was I'm not very familiar with the goings on in Ontario politics, but I had a general sense. I think I might have Googled him, and I think I got a sense there was some estrangement or some falling out between him and the Premier, but I
just wondering if he ever communicated anything like that to you.
He never brought up. The only time he would have made a reference to the Premier was, like the whole Twitter account thing. Because we had the problem with BJ Dichter logging into Tamara's Twitter account and sending out that one tweet. And he said, multiple people have access to this, right? And I said, yeah. And he explained to me that when he was chief of staff to the Premier, they had a rule. 3 people had access to the Premier's Twitter account, but
and that's
2
it.
of them had to agree to a tweet, no one person. And I said, yeah,
weird.
It would be nice to have known that.
Just on that, though, Ms. Leach also put out a live stream on Facebook saying she wasn't supporting the deal that night.
That's not true.
That's not true. Okay. Thank you.
All right. We're going to cut this off here at that point. But yeah, it's like, you're from Alberta. You know Pat King, right? I love how he's like, there's 4 million people in Alberta, right? That was awesome. That was amazing. Wait, if this guy thinks that about Alberta with 4 million people, what does he think about Saskatchewan with 1.2 million? I laugh with French people all the time. I just hate them. Oh. What a ridiculous. That was just crazy. That was just crazy. All right, guys, I need to eat. I'm not going to quite make it the full 2 hours today because I need to eat and get up and move around. My hip is bothering me, so I got to get out of my chair and do some walking around. But we made it about an hour and a half, and that's good. I hope you guys enjoy it. Are you guys liking this at 11, or is noon better? Because I'm noticing that I noticed that like when I had to go at noon and 1 over the past couple of days, more people were able to join. So let me know what you guys think, because I don't mind going at 11, but if more of you will come if I go at noon, then I'll go at noon. Let me know in the comments below if you're watching the afterplay or if you're, yeah, later. Noon is a bit easier. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because people seem to come in a little bit better at noon. So I might have to move it back to noon, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. I will be back tomorrow on Twitch at 9:30 in the morning for Beat the Blind Girl. So see you then. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!